to surrender. And so it becomes obvious to us when we've been living our lifestyle in a certain way, where we've had certain habits and certain thought patterns and maybe a career and lifestyle that no longer serves us, that we are going to be faced and forced to have to surrender something. We don't know what. We don't know what it's going to look like. And there can be some fear, some anticipation. We want it to be the familiar old way, and so we fear that our life is going to fall apart, and how dramatic is that going to be for us. So what I'd like to share with you is an insight that I had in the last few days, and it's around these habits that we have that build up to our life not working for us, that the habits and the patterns and the way we think that are actually unsupportive, and that's why we come to this big change in our life, and that we want it to turn into something positive, but there's no way that it can turn into anything positive unless we take this big step with a bunch of baby steps. And so these baby steps are really going to focus on clearing up our past, looking at our habits and our patterns that have not been working for us, because we can't go forward unless we change those old patterns. Otherwise, we'll go and change our career or do something different, but with the same old patterns, the same old perspective of life. And we're just going to end up suffering in the same way we are now. So something's got to change, and it's got to change fundamentally. And my insight here is that there's something that we have a very, very big bad habit of doing as human beings. And this is why we suffer. And I'll tell you what that is. The insight is that we have a pattern or a habit of saying no to life. Look at life. Life is really doing a pretty good job in how it's presenting itself. Life is doing a pretty good job in how it's keeping our body moving. Everything about life is actually pretty good. I must say, there is an incredible creator out there creating all of this, and it all works. It all works amazingly. But what is it about us that we say no to life? That's my insight. It's like, oh my God, I've been saying no. I've been saying no to aspects of my life. And the moment I say no to something that's arising now, I'm actually experiencing pain in my life. I don't feel good when I say no to the way something actually is showing up. So I'm seeing more about this, that every time I reject my present experience, the way it's showing up now, it's very expensive. It drains my energy field. I go into a negative spiral, and I end up focusing on the details of how it's not working for me and what I don't like about it. And there's no space or creativity in it at all. It's all about, I've got to change this experience because I don't like it. So there's a strong sense of self and me here, and there's a strong sense of will and doership to get out there and try to change my experience. And in actual fact, what's really going on is that life is lifing. Life is a verb, remember? It's always in motion. And there's no need for anyone to come up with an idea that it should turn into something else. This is our problem, I think, as human beings, is that we're always trying to change what actually is. So I thought that we could do a little exercise just to challenge this very bad habit of rejecting our life experience as it's showing up now. And so think about, this is what you can do. You can think about 5 different areas where you get triggered that happened in the last few days, maybe areas where you rejected something, and then watch as you go through it. Watch how it created the contraction in your body, and then watch the commentary that you made about it, and how you wanted to change it, and also notice how there's no space in there for something new to unfold. And what I'll do is I'll give you some of my examples that happened for me in the last few days, and that will help you show you how to do this exercise. So one experience I had was I have a rejection to cigarette smoke, especially when I'm eating food. Another experience I had was my stomach was off after I ate some food. Another experience is mosquito bites. And these are things that I would normally react to or resist or reject. And slow internet and loud noise. So those are 5 things. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each of these 5 things and how I made how I could make a negative commentary about these things that naturally arose in my life experience. So, say for instance, we take the cigarette smoke. I'm sitting in the restaurant, I'm having a really nice, delicious meal, and then all of a sudden I get this waft of smoke go past my nose, and the first thing that comes to me is like, damn, now my meal is ruined. Who's smoking? Shouldn't they be aware of, this is a place where people have meals. They should go and smoke somewhere else and just watch where the wind is and let it smoke. They should go smoke somewhere else. So that was my first rejection. My second rejection, can't remember which one in row, but let's do the mosquito bites. Here I am again. How many mosquito bites do I have to have? Here I have to experience another 15 to 20, maybe even a half hour of this excruciating pain of this mosquito injection going through my body, and all my attention now has to be on this. I should try to do something about this. Get some medication for this. Okay, so that's the second one. Another one is loud noise, neighbors' loud noise. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I know these guys come back from a party because it's full moon and they've been partying all night. And don't they know that people sleep around here? I should go up and knock on their door and tell them not to be so loud. Okay, so you're getting the idea of the commentary. What's the other one? Stomach ache. I think I said that one. Anyway, you get the idea. So I'm making negative commentary about what happened, and I'm obsessed with it. I don't feel good in my body. My attention is focused on the event. There's no spaciousness around it. I'm judgmental. I'm trying to change it. I'm in my ego, and I think that it should be different than the way it is. So now let's change that around. Now that you have an idea of something that's happened for you in the last few days, even if you just can get one thing, and we'll do the exercise of turning it around. And what would it look like if you were in a space of surrender, which means you're surrendering to the way life is, and that in that practice of surrendering, then something new has a possibility to unfold for you. So let's do the exercise of the smoke. the cigarette smoke. So here I am, I'm sitting in the restaurant, I'm eating some beautiful food, and I love the taste and the texture, so I'm feeling the taste and the texture of the food. And then I notice that there's this smoke that comes into my nostrils, and I can see how I'm noticing how the smoke mixed with the taste of the food has now changed the taste of the food. And I'm kind of curious as to where this smoke is coming from. So I lift my head up and I'm looking over and say, oh yeah, there's someone over there, they have a cigarette, and they're talking to their friend. And oh yeah, I guess the wind is blowing from the cigarette. It's kind of actually moving in my direction. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, I'll just take a moment here. And then, and now I notice that, okay, now I don't smell the smoke anymore. I'll have another bite to eat here. The smoke actually moved somewhere else. And yeah, and I'm here and I'm conscious that I am eating my food in this environment, feeling all these different things and noticing all these little details. So, as you may notice, that in this practice, the surrender is the opposite of rejection, because rejection is resisting. And when you resist, there's a lot of energy that is in your body that has to work against what actually is. But in this scenario, where the surrendering was happening, it's like it was more of an experience of allowing this life experience to occur. And I didn't make a judgment of whether it was good or bad. I just became very interested in how, in the changing of the moment, the dynamism of the moment, I was able to notice the details and just keep following it without a judgment, without thinking I need to change it, without getting angry, without getting negative, and without ruining my meal. So I can actually live in a moment that previously, if I was rejecting, I would have a very painful, unpleasant experience eating my food at the restaurant. Whereas in this case, I actually enjoyed myself. And I also knew I had the freedom to move my dish and go somewhere else if it was too difficult. But there was no negativity that that would make me and my internal experience uncomfortable. So I kept my internal experience very delightful and playful. And I also knew that I had control in the situation about how I would view the situation. So this is just an example about what we need to do before we make this big change in our life. We actually need to start making these small little changes, especially in the perspective from how we operate. And it's the worst habit that we as human beings have, is rejecting our present life experience, thinking that we have to change it and do something different. It's very exhaustive, energy loss, and a waste of time as far as I'm concerned. Now I really see the value of, instead of rejecting and saying no to life experience, when we start to open up and be present and follow it with an absolute curiosity and interest, then life is much more beautiful to experience. So no matter what you decide to do in life from now on, this is the basis from which you will have a much more delightful, pleasant experience in life. Whether you change your career, whether you change your life dynamics, whatever you do, life can only get better. All right, so that's my latest insight. I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you after my next bout of retreats. So namaste, and I'll see you next time.